I strongly believe that God is merciful and that He is slow to anger. However, if we continue to ignore His corrections, there are definitely going to be long-term consequences that we will not like. I mean, we continue to do some things and expect God to just overlook them and keep up with some activities in the church, trying to use it to cover up. I mean, what I'm trying to explain is there's no position in the church, there's no spiritual activity that can replace our relationship with God, our faithful relationship with God, let me even say. Because, I've worked with some people that it appears to me like they're doing things, yeah, in the church, but again, they have other kinds of life. Okay, for instance, there's some people that when you meet them in the church, they have this particular attitude, they're so kind, they're so wholesome, they're this, they're that. But outside of the church, that might not be them. You know, some people do stuff like they show off at work, they do a sort of eye service, you know, they try to, slander other people just to get their ways through the managers, just to appear good and the best worker, amongst others, which is not nice. And what I found out is that many of these people do these things to cover the relationship with God, in a sense. They believe that when they go to the church and they do other activities, maybe they sing, maybe they're in the drama team, maybe they're in the ushering team, whatever team they are, they believe that even despite being that person, they are outside of the church. So far, they are able to get into the church, go into the church early, get things done, arrange things. Maybe they're in the sound, team. They're able to get the things done quickly in the church. Then all of these things would cover up their bad attitude. No, it does not work that way. God values our relationships more than any other activities that we do in church. Am I saying that you should not give your time to church, to the things of God? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, don't do these things as the cover up. Be the same person outside of the church and inside the church. Be the same person at home. Be the same person at work. Be the same person amongst your friends. Let people know that you are a Christian. And when they want to do something, they shouldn't, because this person is there, we can't do it. The book of Romans chapter 6, verse 1 says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue or go on sinning so that grace may increase? The chapter 2, the verse 2 says, by no means, never. In my language, it says kamari, like very impossible. So it means that we can continue to do some of these things and we are not changing, we are not speaking to people who can help us get better, because some things are just addictions, and the only thing we need is to be able to open up to somebody, maybe a senior pastor, maybe a friend that we can trust with our emotions and those privacies, and they could pray with us, they could help us to get better from these things. So I'm urging you this week that you should please, by God's mercy, try and speak to somebody. If you have to speak to somebody, you can't keep on doing these things in secret and expect things to be the same with God. No way. That is not how it works with God. God values your relationship. God wants you to be faithful. God wants you to be holy. God wants you to be as righteous as Him. And that should be your goal. Stop covering up with positions in church. Stop covering up with activities in church. That is not our calling as believers. I believe you have learned something. I believe God has spoken to you today. Think about this, reflect on it, pray about it as many times as you can, as many times as you can. That was exactly what I said. Yes, as many times as you can, pray about it and trust Him to help you. I will definitely speak to you again.